The Behind Ears podcast crew would like to thank the following sponsors for their generous support. If you have a little one and you're going to Walt Disney World, you're going to need a stroller. I'll tell you what, kingdomstrollers.com is the place where you want to look into. I'll tell you, I've destroyed my fair share of strollers while at Walt Disney World, and those things are not cheap. But getting something from kingdomstrollers.com, they'll be able to help you pick out the perfect stroller for you. And the nice part is that because they're a Disney preferred provider, they'll be able to drop it off and pick it up right from your Disney resort at no extra charge. So if you don't want to necessarily destroy your stroller in the process and you want to have a great Disney vacation with your little one, contact kingdomstrollers.com and they'll set you right up. That's kingdomstrollers.com.
Attention, wizards and witches. The Expedition Roasters head roastmaster is pleased to announce the release of 4 new wizarding brews. Are you charming and courageous, book-smart and brilliant, big-hearted and kind, or possibly cunning and ambitious? You may have to try all 4 to find out which house roast you belong to. So cast a transporting spell over to expeditionroasters.com to begin your journey. And don't forget to continue your adventure with our large selection of pop culture-inspired themed coffees. There's always an adventure in every bag. Behind the Ears podcast fans, be sure to use the code EARS20 for 20% off your first order. That's EARS20 at expeditionroasters.com. Brew your happy place.
Coming to you live from our studios on the East Coast and in the Midwest, it's the Behind Ears podcast, because everybody does Disney differently.
Welcome back, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Ears podcast. I'm Uncle Danny. That is Mr. Chris. First time joining us, well, welcome. Long-time listeners, thanks for coming back. We go live every Tuesday and Thursday at 9:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Facebook and or YouTube, and you can catch all of our podcasts anywhere podcasts is caught. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms, and any questions, comments, or concerns, you can easily email us at behindtheearspodcast@gmail.com. With that being said, it has officially been 1 full week since Chris and myself sat down in our office, sat down behind these cameras together, because Chris likes to do a lot of things. So I'm going to say together, and we're going to do a show. And you might say, oh, would you guys take a week off? Well, if you're new, you wouldn't know that. We did take a week off because we traveled down to Disney World to do what we do best, eat food. We toured Epcot. We did a little bit eating around the world several times. Some items we ate more than once. A couple items I ate more than once. And then we also got to tour Give Kids the World, which has been fantastic. It's probably going to be broken up into a 2-part segment here. I don't believe we're going to get everything done all in one, but I will start off by saying this. Illuminations is gone, and what is it? Epcot Forever? Is that the name of the new show?
Epcot Forever, yes.
But it's not forever, because it's only for like a year.
This is a true statement.
Okay. So I saw that Chris, our man on the street, our communications director, or whatever title we decide to give him that particular day, because I really don't know his exact title with us. He was able to be there last night filming it, and we all obviously watched it. It was, I'm sure, rough for Chris, happy for me. That was one of Chris's favorite shows. That's one of Chris's favorite scores. For me, I was kind of like, okay, I'm ready for something new. Let me ask you, actually, before I ask you, Mr. Chris, welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
I still haven't completely unpacked from last week, to be honest.
Nope, my luggage is still on my floor downstairs, and I'm getting yelled at every day that it sits there.
Actually, to tell you the truth, it's the stuff from the indie meet prior to our trip that I still have to actually take care of. Yeah, so it is one of those cases where it's like, what can I tell you? Um, I'm doing well. I gotta tell you, this has already been a hard start to the week after being gone for a little over a week. Um, but it's one of those cases where I've been thinking a lot about our trip
Mhm.
in a lot of good ways, and I've been talking about it. And there's just a lot of things that I know that we're going to go over the next couple episodes that really made an impression on me in a lot of different ways. And I think every day was something. There was something really cool, really special about the time that we spent together, the people that we met, and the food that we ate. And you know, it was one of those cases where we both took advantage of a good time. We didn't kill ourselves, by just pushing ourselves further
For
and
each
further
other.
or each other. We just had it was a good time. It was like a nice balance. We did some unexpected things, and I just think I'm just pretty happy about that trip. The worst part about that trip was landing in Indianapolis after my flight was delayed for about a half an hour. It landed at 11:15 at night, and I still had a 2 hour and 20-minute drive home.
Wow. Your flight was late by 10 minutes or a half hour.
It was actually, by the time it was all said and done, it was only about 15 minutes. And
Talk to me when it hits 7 hours.
yeah, I get it. And at least it was on the backside of it.
Yeah, you didn't lose a day.
But I rolled into my house, it would have been like 2:30 Eastern time in the morning.
That's a long day.
I did stop, and I probably did the worst thing I could have done. About an hour in, there was a White Castle,
Oh, yeah.
and I saw on there they had what's called the cheesy sack. It was a 10-pack of cheeseburgers for like $7. I'm like, how could I ever go wrong with something like that?
Can't. You can never go wrong with a little sack from I almost said Give Kids the World, geez, from White Castle.
Wow, where did that come from?
I know, that was on my mind.
Well,
So
yeah.
With Illuminations going away and Epcot Forever coming in, we'll start with that. How did you happen to catch the new show?
I did, and I caught the stream from Chris, which, by the way, was a lot better of a stream than it was last night for the Illuminations last show. Chris and I did some pretty extensive testing after my workday got done. We kind of figured out some of the different things and kind of figured out what we did wrong last night. And it sounded, for him, from a technical perspective, it sounded and looked a whole lot better. Now, the thing is that I saw it, and I don't think that any stream is really going to do it justice. I do plan on watching the Disney Parks blog stream of it, the replay over on YouTube, because I know that obviously they capture it from different angles and everything else like that, and they have the sound piped in, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. But, the fact of the matter is that it looked good. It's different. People have to realize that it's different. And I think it was a pretty good homage towards Epcot over what I have the memory of Epcot over the last 20 years. And even though I know that, obviously Illuminations has been along for a long time. And since 1988, which I did not realize it was that long of a run. And, but Epcot Forever did provide a really nice replacement show, some very cool technical elements that I think require some pretty decent skill to pull off, not by computer, but by people, to be honest with you. And at the same time, I think that the soundtrack was good. It was I think it was a little bit shorter than Illuminations, but still about 11 and a half minutes, if I counted it correctly. And I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the score of it. A lot of retro Epcot music. In fact, I'm almost afraid that some of that Epcot music, like for Horizons and some of the original Journey to the Imagination music, may actually have been lost on some people because they probably probably have never heard it before, especially like what was it? The Kitchen Cabaret, veggie, fruit, veggie, fruit. Anyway, I'll stop that. But see, you're looking at me like he's lost his mind. But the thing is, people probably thought the same thing.
Absolutely.
And so, like, even Brian says, it's a show to see live, and I believe that's really the case, because when Chris afterwards, after Chris was like, "Oh yeah, you gotta see this live," it definitely makes a big difference. So,
Okay.
I believe it. I believe that very much so.
All right, so let's dive into our trip. So Chris left from Indy right after the Indy Disney meet. He left at the crack of dawn.
Oh man, the
Times don't even birds wake up yet at that time.
I was like the first person to walk through TSA, like maybe the third person, but yeah. I had a 5:05 a.m. flight. Princess Kinsley woke me up at about 1:35, quarter to 2 in the morning. Not on purpose, of course, but I just decided to get up at 2, and I left. I got to the airport about 3. TSA opened at 3:15. You know what's open at the Indianapolis airport that early in the morning? Nothing. In fact, I didn't even have enough singles to actually get myself a soda. All I have were like 5s. I'm like, crap, I couldn't even get myself a soda. Oh, so it was an early flight, but I will say it was nice because I had a first class seat on American Airlines.
And you did have a layover, right?
Did have a layover. I went to Charlotte, North Carolina first, and I landed, got off the plane, walked to the other side of the airport. I had 20 minutes before my flight boarded. So I did really well. I didn't experience any delays. I didn't experience any delays in that aspect. And it was really good. I never knew that like the Charlotte airport at like 6:30 in the morning was just really super busy. So I was really glad to like get there, get back on the second plane, and everything was on time from that point on.
Well, unlike that success story Chris just told you, I was supposed to leave on Sunday at 7:20 a.m. The night before, around I don't know, I want to say like 8:30 on Saturday night, sitting around thinking, okay, I should probably go to bed. Got to be up around 5, drive down to the airport. And I got an alert on my phone from Spirit. And I was thinking, I already checked in 24 hours before my flight. Wonder what this could be. And it was an alert saying my flight was delayed. So when I see that, I'm thinking, 25 minutes, half hour max, right? So I don't even look at the email. I immediately go to the weather. Going through the weather in New Jersey, clear. Going through the weather in Florida, clear. I'm like, Carolinas? Look through Carolinas, all the way up the East Coast, not a thing in sight. Go back to my email. No, my flight was delayed by 7 hours. Later to find out they didn't have enough crew to fly the plane. Knowing that, I wish they would have told me. I could have served drinks, done it in the past. I could do it again. I could mix a mean martini if that's what you're in the mood for. But so 7 hours later, I don't take off till 2. It was supposed to be 2:02. Then it got bumped back to 2:12. Then it got bumped back to 2:21. So 4 delays later, and then we didn't take off till 2:45. Even though we were all boarded on the plane. So Chris was able to get into the parks before me. I finally get down there and realize I just wasted a park day because I didn't get to the hotel till I want to say like 6 something. Yeah. And we're like, well, this is just a waste of time by the time we get a bus or an Uber and we get over to the park. So we decided to start our eating and we made our way down to Disney Springs. And I left it up to Chris. I said, Chris, where do you want to go? He's like, take me somewhere fun. So I was like, okay, let's go to Homecoming. Walk up to Homecoming, see a bunch of empty tables. We're like, sweet. Lady goes, it's an hour wait. We were not waiting an hour. We were hungry. So we decided to go over to Deluxe Burger. And boy, oh boy, do I love me some Deluxe Burger. Expensive? Yes. Hate that they don't come with fries? Absolutely. Is the burger worth the price? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it was absolutely delicious. I thoroughly enjoyed I really, I like Deluxe Burger. I don't know why some people give it a hard time. I actually like Deluxe Burger. We both had cheeseburgers, some great fries, and big drinks. That's exactly what we needed, and that's satisfied. That satisfied my curiosity for a big burger. To be honest with you, it was really good. I like Deluxe. It's one of Kathy's favorites, I might add.
And one of Jessica's. This is gonna be the last comment I make on the airline for this evening. I can't say forever, but I'm just gonna say the evening. Listen, we all know Spirit stinks. I see a bunch of people telling me don't fly them. Listen, man, it's pure just me not wanting to drive to another airport. Why drive an hour and a half away when I can literally drive 22 minutes away to this airport? So I take convenience over quality. Is it the end of the world? No. Still, got to the vacation, so it is what it is. So we both decided to go to bed early. Chris says to me, okay, Monday morning, I want to wake up and do extra magic hours at MGM. He expects me to say, have fun. I'm not going. I say to him, don't worry about it. I will be awake. And I know somewhere deep down the back of his mind, he was laughing, saying, yeah, I've heard that before. He's not getting up. And lo and behold, I was up before him.
I was genuinely, I had the crap shocked out of me. I mean, I didn't think that we were going to get up at the, butt crack of dawn or anything like that in order to get there at 6 a.m. But we thought if we got there around 7 or so, we would have a good time before a lot of the crowds. And that's exactly what happened. And Danny and I he got up just a little bit before me. And it was a beautiful morning. It was a little on the muggy side, but it was still a beautiful morning. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and make this mention about the weather. Danny, that was the first trip in probably 5 or 6 years that I've been on that had literally no rain whatsoever during our entire
trip. No rain. Extremely hot during the day. The evenings and the mornings were comfortable, I will say that. But the days were warm. But yes, surprisingly, no rain. I'm pretty sure they got rain this week.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did too. But it was very, very enjoyable. So we basically took the bus to studios, and the cool part about it is that we didn't really even really wait for a bus. I mean, it was one of those cases where I think some people were watching me live at that time,
running,
and they're like, and people were commenting, "Go, Chris, go!" Yeah, thanks a lot. Really appreciate the support there. Yeah. Because watching the fat guy run to the bus
while I walked.
Yeah, it was.
I figured as long as he got to the bus, he would hold it for me, right?
Of course I would. And the thing is like we really didn't. We split our time traveling between basically bus, Uber, and Chris. Chris was
a lot of Chris. Chris Hiller definitely drove us around a lot, and a lot of Uber. We only took 2 buses the entire trip.
Yeah, and we didn't really even wait for them, to be honest with you. So we got on the bus, and it was fine. It was a nice jaunt over there. The only thing I have to say is that it wasn't until that morning I realized, wow, that's a walk. From the bus stop to the entrance of Hollywood Studios. It's an okay walk. Don't get me wrong, but it was definitely a walk.
Yeah.
So now we went ahead and got through security and got through the turnstiles and everything. And Danny's like, I want to do Toy Story now. I'm like, sounds like a plan. And but there's one thing I have to say, that before we walked into Toy Story, Danny got me hooked on something that I never thought I would get hooked on. Danny got me hooked on iced coffee.
It's good, man.
And to be very honest, I thank him. That was one of the most delicious treats I ever had, and I've been making it I've been making it at night, so it's nice and cold by the beginning of the day. And that was actually kind of funny. I actually drank it too fast, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to be like Teddy Ruxpin on a car battery all day long.
And he drank a lot of it throughout the week. And let me tell you, other people witnessed that he was drinking a full-size iced coffee in 4 to 5 sips. Like, I literally am just getting below the lid, and I look over, and I hear, like, the slurping sound of the straw at the bottom with his, like, 19 Splendas. And I'm like, That can't be healthy. Five's be well. The other Chris drinks it with 7 creamers and 7 sugars, and I'm like, you all are gonna die.
Yeah, it was actually pretty funny. But we walked in, drinks in hand, and it was like a 10-minute wait for
We walked right on that, even with the 10
Midway
minutes.
Mary.
We never stopped walking.
It was not 10 minutes at all. I mean,
No.
we pretty much walked onto it, and we're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And the sun is still barely coming up, and that's what we did, because there was like an hour wait for Slinky, and then we decided, hey, let's go ahead and do this. And it was a lot of fun. But Danny, why don't you tell them a little bit about the scoring?
23 minutes, people. 23 minutes and 53 seconds. That is how long it took him to bring this up. All right, so he cheats, by the way. No, yeah, I think I lost by like 60,000 points.
Yeah, I had till like 225.
He had the highest score of the day at that point. Now, granted, the park was open for like 6 minutes, but he had the highest score of the day. It was brutal. He hurt me.
and it was one of those cases where it's like, I wasn't going to let Danny win, but I actually thought Danny would be a little bit better competition on that than I was.
I was tired. The coffee was slishing around inside me. It was warm. I had a lot going against me.
Yeah.
It
was a lot of fun.
I deserved it.
It was a great way to start the morning. I will definitely say. And definitely it was something to try. But we saw that Slinky Dog still had quite the long wait. So we strolled into Galaxy's Edge. And I will mention that I did go to Galaxy's Edge on Sunday in Danny's absence.
I think we should save Galaxy's Edge for Thursday.
You want to?
The world, because I think there's a lot we can talk about, and I don't want to jam up what a lot of people are asking for is the food.
I think that's a fair thing. So let's go ahead and mention that. And why don't we go ahead and leave the rest of Hollywood Studios?
Yeah, we'll just leave that the rest of that day for Thursday with Give Kids the World. Yeah. So let's talk about the food we did. We bought almost everything on that list that we did for the show for you guys, minus a couple things where we're like,
once we saw it.
Yeah, and I know everybody was complaining and moaning that we didn't do the Impossible Burger. There was just too many other things to eat. There were a couple places we wanted to do. I wanted to do the wine bar. I wanted to do the chocolate bar. Those things we kept saying, oh, we'll save for later. And you know how vacations go. And not only a vacation for us, but a business trip for us. Life happened, and those are a couple places that we did not get to go. Was there one item or two? We'll cap it at 2. Were there 1 or 2 items that blew you away that you were like, wow, this was amazing?
I have to be honest. Some of the first things that we got, we didn't even enter World Showcase yet. And there was a lot of the seafood dishes. And I will tell you that the scallops were just melt in your mouth fabulous. Perfectly done. In fact, my mouth is watering just talking about it, remembering it. And also, I would have to say the crab cake was also just absolutely delish. And I remember that salmon to be done perfectly. And that was also very flavorful. I will also say that at the same time, I got to be honest, that tenderloin, that mushroom tenderloin from Canada is still one of the best things that you can get. And I'll be honest, the price is right. It's like,
But with that item, I felt like because we got that item twice, I felt that one was better than the other.
I do think that the first day that we had it was much more tender, and it still had a good flavor the second time around, but the first time was much more tender, which made it more memorable.
Yeah. For me, it's going to be the scallop scampi. The decadent sauce they had on top was fantastic. They cut like butter. Absolutely fantastic. Obviously, the cheese soup from Canada. I could have literally put that in a water bottle and just drank it for the whole day. I had no problem doing it. And I'm going to throw a surprise one at you. One that no one else tried. Everybody else looked at me like I was weird.
Flames
People stopped. No. People stopped and looked at me when I was eating because they were like, what are you doing? It was the frothy ramen.
Oh yes, the frothy ramen, which people said it sucked.
It
And
was wonderful.
it was really good. It didn't have like that. Okay, you know when you think of ramen, you think of
Salt.
You just think of like, might as well go ahead and just take a block of salt or a salt cube and just shove it down your throat. I still don't understand the frothy part to it, but it was very, very good. I enjoyed that too. I thought that was actually kind of a surprise. I mean, it wasn't like the best thing I had the entire time, but I will say it was very surprising on how appetizing it was.
Yeah. It was good cold. It would be even better hot, but I understand the idea of why it was served cold.
Sure.
It was just it the reason I put it where it is because it was so good, but that to me was the surprise element. The one thing we're walking around where I had no expectations for it. And I literally got it for the picture. I'll be completely honest. I got it for the gram. It just looked cool. And I was like, okay.
Looked kind of funny. I would probably say that one thing that surprised me, but on not so good side, was the tenderloin that came from Africa that had the coffee rub on it.
Ooh, that was bad.
And it wasn't that to me, it wasn't that it was bad. It was just that it was not a very good cut of meat. I think tenderloin and I think tenderloin.
Yeah.
And and it wasn't. The coffee rub did not really add the kind of flavoring that I expect from what I've had in a coffee rub. The shrimp that I can't remember where you got that shrimp from.
Africa.
That was also from Africa?
No. Which one? We had a lot of shrimp.
Yeah, that was
the kebab.
Yes.
Yeah, Africa.
Africa. That was good. I enjoyed that. I had one of the chicken dishes from India that had a red curry.
Not good.
It just
was blah. There was nothing to it. There was supposed to be curry on it. There was no flavor to that curry.
It was surprisingly bland, and I was not necessarily too thrilled about that. Very surprising. I was really looking forward to it too. I'm going to be really honest because I like a good curry of all sorts. I might add. Yeah. That was a little it didn't meet my expectations.
Mac and cheese, I was very hyped for.
Yeah.
And it was so bad. It was so bad. It was gross.
I thought you liked it.
No, I didn't.
Really?
I gave it a 1.
You're talking about that smokehouse mac and cheese that we first
when we first had. Yeah, no, I gave it a 1. I did not like that at all. Remember, I even said you can have the rest of that.
I do remember that.
And I was licking the bowl from the scallops. I was like, this is good.
Because I liked the mac and cheese, but I thought it would be good as a side dish. It wouldn't be something that I would have as a main course. It was still good. I liked it. I liked the smoky flavor to it. And I thought it was cheesy. I just wouldn't think it would be like a main dish of sorts. It was a great side dish.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, not everything's going to be good, Nick. We can't hit everything. I mean, not everything is going to hit our palates well. We didn't really do a lot of the drinks. This year they seemed very fruity. I kind of stayed away from that. No, I did not give the mac and cheese a 3. That was no. There was a lot at that table I gave a 3.
Yes. And maybe
we started with the burger over at the ESPN, which was awesome. I gave the crab cake a 3. I gave the scallops a 3. And I gave the salmon. What we get? Salmon? Was salmon?
Was the salmon?
The salmon was a 2. That one was a straight up 1.
Maybe I am misremembering. I don't know if that's a term, but that I can understand that.
Yeah.
Now we did have some drinks. Don't get me wrong, and it was kind of funny because
not a lot from Epcot though.
No, not. Okay, so the only drinks I had was the grapefruit beer from Germany, which you can get. The Huff and Pfeffer or whatever it is. I mean, it's you can get that anytime. and because I'm not a big drinker, it was very hot that day, and that beer was very cold. It went down almost too easily and too quickly. Let's just put it that way.
That's how the wine is at. So, funny story about the wine.
Tell the story about the wine.
So, I didn't know this at Epcot. You can only order one drink per person, meaning I can't go up for my party and get a round of wine from Italy. You have to have said people in your party. And I guess I get that because it's not a bar atmosphere and they don't want you feeding it to underage kids and things like that. Okay, well, that's fine. Whatever. So we walk in there and I was like to the lady, I said, I'll have 3 wines. She goes, 3? And I looked at it. I was like, yeah, 3. And then I joked and I said, I'm thirsty. And she kept saying 3. And I was like, yes. And I couldn't understand why she was not pouring these glasses of wine. She took my credit card and she just wasn't like pouring the wine. And she's like, who was the wine for? I said, me. And before I can say anything else, Lisa from the Disney Nerds walks over with Chris, because that's who I was with. And then she starts pouring it. And Lisa goes, yeah, they won't give you more than 1 wine. So I hand everybody their wine. And we walk outside. I'm like, give me back my wine. And I literally walked around holding 3 cups of wine. I was like, I'm a happy camper. Then we made our way over to the Rosen and we wanted to buy Lisa a drink. She got some type of beer mixed with something. I don't know what it was. I had my double Grey Goose and vodka. Chris, what did you get?
I actually didn't get anything at that time.
Oh, you didn't? Okay. Fair enough. And I was feeling good. I was ready to like, okay, let's keep going. And Chris is like, time to go back to the room. And I was like, darn it.
I didn't say that. You said
that.
No,
because Lisa wanted to leave.
Yeah.
And then at that point, Chris showed up after that.
Right. Because we thought it would actually be a good time for us to take a quick break because it was we were in the sun. It was really hot. We knew that Chris was going to be coming over in a little bit. So we went ahead and said, okay, fine. And so we just kind of chilled out. We were very full.
We had eaten a lot quickly too.
Yeah, and we'll have to pace ourselves a little bit better next time. But the fact of the matter is that we did eat quite a bit quite quickly. It was like eating 2 full meals in a matter of about 2.5 hours. And by the way, what was that wine that you got? Because I did sample that, and that was very crisp and clean.
That's an Italian Pinot Grigio.
Oh, that was absolutely fabulous. I actually really enjoyed that. And I'm not a wine drinker by any stretch of the imagination.
So, oh, no, sorry. It was a double Grey Goose and tonic. If I said double Grey Goose and vodka, that was a misstep on my part. It's double Grey Goose and tonic.
That would have been funny. I'll have a vodka and a vodka.
I'll have a vodka. And you know what? For the mixer, just put more vodka in.
That would have been funny. But yeah, so we kind of chilled out. And actually, to tell you the truth, at that time, Danny kind of chilled out for a little bit.
I went to sleep.
Yeah. What I did, I actually enjoyed the resort a little bit. I mean, we were staying at All Star Music. I've never been there before. And so I know this sounds silly. I did some laundry and I basically enjoyed the pool. The laundry area was right there and it worked very, very well. So it took me I was in there for about an hour. And by the time I was done enjoying the pool and the laundry and everything else like that, not only did I have clean laundry, I was nice and refreshed from a day. Danny was just about done with his little nappy nap. And then, you know, I get a message from Chris saying, dude, you're coming over. I'm like, all right, more food. And so, the timing was perfect because I don't know. I mean, Danny, do you normally kind of take that little break in the afternoon?
Yeah, usually.
Yeah, and I do too. And the fact that I just think that when it's hot.
We're getting old, Chris.
What's this we getting?
I'm already there. You're right.
But the thing of it is that, I like to take that little bit of a break. I enjoyed lounging around in the pool. The pool was crystal clear. There was there were some families playing. I was in the piano pool. I wasn't in the main pool. They had some music playing. It was a very enjoyable time. I like to just hang out in the pool. So it was a nice break. and then Chris came, and then we went back to Epcot, and that was, basically more fun ensued, mainly because Chris also brought his wife Steph with us, and it was just enjoyable being able to start snacking again. And we actually tried some things that other people that we ran into said, hey, you got to try this. Like, one thing was the cheese bread from Brazil.
Was so good, so filling though.
It was surprising. I mean, it looked almost like a bao bun. Thank you. I want to say ball, but I knew that wasn't the case. But it was more like a little itty bitty. Like, if you cut it, you can almost make a bread bowl out of it. But instead, it's filled with cheese. And I never really figured out what kind of cheese it was.
A very odd texture. If you're a weird texture person, you're not going to like it.
It was almost like a mozzarella, but more of a rubbery feel, but not in a bad way. We all tried those. I'm like, wow, this is so different. It's got a lot of flavor, very dense, very heavy. Yeah. I was like, oh. And of course, then you had Belgian waffle.
They were so bad.
You also had the chocolate Belgian waffle. I've never had a good Belgian chocolate Belgian waffle, though.
Why? It's just chocolate on top of a Belgian waffle. I had a Belgian waffle for lunch today. Along with my Scrapple.
What?
Scrapple.
Yeah, I know what Scrapple is, but Scrapple and Belgian waffle for lunch?
I went to a diner on my lunch break.
Wow, I'm going to have to go to that diner because that actually sounds like the place I want to hang out in.
Two eggs over easy with hash browns, two big slabs of Scrapple and a white bread and a waffle.
You are definitely the culinary surprise.
I've got a vast palate. Let's see. Hey guys, mozzarella would never make it to India.
I can understand that.
Was that India, that pavilion? I thought it was Brazil.
No, it was Brazil, but no, it's like there's no. Gosh, I've never had anything with cheese in it in India. To be honest with you, at the same time, I think I know what Chris means on that.
Spoil. The Belgian waffle is way overcooked.
Yeah, and the thing of it is that one thing that we did try that was absolutely horrible.
Oh boy, I remember.
It was so bad, I think you want to forget. And we actually had the escargot inside.
Oh, it was so bad.
I wanted to try it. And I said, Danny, let's go ahead and do this. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, well, I really want to try this. And I was the one that encouraged it. I said, this was one of the things that we picked. I really wanted to give it a try.
And I've been saying for the last like 6 years that it has gone downhill since they took out the actual just escargot in the bowl and they put in this. It was so bad, so dry. It was so disgusting.
It's like, to me, it didn't even taste like escargot. It tasted like mussels.
Yeah.
And if you're a seafood fan and you like mussels, it's that's kind of the texture it was. I'm like, okay, I'm going to eat this only because I just spent $6-7 on this. That was about it.
Brandy wants to know what Scrapple is. It's the equivalent to a hot dog. Doesn't taste anything like a hot dog, but it's got a little bit of everything in it. The ends of everything.
Okay, it's if Spam is okay. Scrapple is what they don't put in Spam.
It's all the leftovers. That's literally what it is.
It's a Southern thing. It really is.
Definition: Scrapple, also known by the Pennsylvania Dutch as pan rabbit, is traditionally a mush of pork scraps and trimmings combined with cornmeal, wheat flour, often buckwheat flour, and spices. The mush is formed into a small, semi-solid, congealed loaf, and slices of Scrapple are then pan-fried before serving.
Chris says, next food and wine, Scrapple and pork roll.
Ooh, I love pork roll.
So the thing is that after a while, we all kind of got some beverages and we met up with a whole bunch of people to watch Illuminations over in Germany. And Kieran says it's a northern thing, not a southern thing. I learned it as a southern thing.
First time I had it was in Virginia.
Yeah, I mean,
And
first
I
of all,
consider anything south of the Mason-Dixon is south.
and everything. Every time I saw it was like North Carolina, Georgia, things like I can't find it around here up in northern Midwest part. So
Pork roll is a northern thing.
I've never had a pork roll either.
You've
Okay,
never had a pork roll, really?
no,
Okay.
but no, it's interesting because it's kind of funny. I guess it all depends on where you get introduced to some of these things. But yeah, anyway, so we ended up letting people know that we were going to be over at around Germany for Illuminations, which was really kind of cool. And we had about a dozen people or so join us for a nice last live viewing, for at least for us, of Illuminations. And we also got to meet some other people. And
well, you're talking about Tuesday.
That is, this whole day was Tuesday.
That's right. We only did Epcot. Well, we did Epcot Monday and Tuesday. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
And which was really kind of cool. We ended up meeting some new people that are hopefully watching us tonight. And believe it or not, in a conversation I had with many of these people that I did not know and new hopeful listeners, they came up with some great questions that we're going to use for future episodes. It was absolutely fabulous. Had wonderful conversations with them. And it was also extra magic hours at Epcot. And to be honest with you, we really didn't do anything for extra magic hours except talk to a whole bunch of people and walk around a little bit more. But it was really a good time. It was a late evening for all of us. But to be honest, I mean, very filling. I mean, it was a very filling day. But, I'm glad, Danny, that we didn't necessarily stuff ourselves to oblivion. That would have just, I think, been painful.
Yeah, no, I'd agree.
So, do you want to, let's go ahead and start with, Magic Kingdom on Wednesday with a twist and a surprise.
Yeah, so let's start with the surprise then. Go ahead.
Okay. So Monday, we got a message from a listener who happened to be a cast member and with a note saying, hey, would love to have you guys as my guest to try out the Skyliner during cast member previews. And I was just like, man, that is like so awesome. So we determined that the time was going to be Wednesday during our Magic Kingdom day. And we were basically, it was like in the afternoon, we thought this is going to be great because we're going to see what the Skyliners are going to be like in the middle of a hot day. Because it was like, what, 92 that day? 94 that day?
Oh, that day.
It was really hot that day. And so we were like, oh man, this is epic. So Wednesday, we kind of planned our day a little differently because we already had some fast passes that we ended up having to move to later in the evening because, well, they were in the afternoon right around this time of this little bit of a special event. And so we got to Magic Kingdom not super early, but not super late either. Basically the way that my day started is I ended up getting up early, mainly because I wanted to say goodbye to my wife and son before they did their work and school bit. And so by the time I'd come back, Danny would be getting ready, and then we would go off to our next adventure.
I wasn't. I was still sleeping.
Not all the time. There were some times I'm like, next to you were getting ready or whatever. So blah, blah, blah. And so we went ahead and we went to Magic Kingdom and we spent some time in Tomorrowland after, of course, we got a iced coffee over at the Joffrey stand. And it was just a very enjoyable time.
Okay, we're stopping there.
Uh-oh.
Hold on.
What?
First of all, Chris.
What?
Ask Ma how she's doing. Tell her Uncle Danny said, how are you?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
With that said. So we decided to ride Buzz. Okay? It's broken. That ride is broken. So we're riding it, and all of a sudden, I look over, and Chris has got 200,000 points. So I'm thinking, okay, I've got to be in that same neck of the woods, maybe a little higher. Look down, I had 6,000 points, and I'm looking at Chris like, no. This machine is broken. But we later did find out that Chris was pulling the trigger and everything, and he noticed that it was completely broken. So Chris ended up doing his normal. Would you get like 300 some odd thousand points?
No. It was 600,000 points.
Oh, I had 9. I had 9,000 points.
Yeah, his little space blaster thing. I mean, obviously he helped defeat the evil Emperor Zurg, but not as much as I did.
I was a little upset about that. I just wanted to get that out of the way. Please continue.
So we had some fun by actually also taking a ride on the TTA, which is always a nice leisurely ride. We got to actually see a good viewpoint of the Tron coaster being built, which actually looked like they have made some significant progress since July, since the last time I got to see it. And that was actually really I always enjoy taking a ride on a TTA. I know it seems to some people it seems like a waste of time, but I'm like, you know what? No, it's always a good time just to chill. And we were also kind of planning the rest of our day. We also did a ride over of Carousel of Progress, and we did it. We did it in the process of also razzing our friend Rudy from the Crazy for Disney podcast, because he despises that ride. He despises that ride like Danny despises Tomorrowland Speedway. But we went ahead and we did it, and we sang between things, and people looked at us, and yeah, it was one of those things. From there, Danny's like, what should we do next? And right in front of us were the teacups. I said, let's do teacups. And he looks at me and goes, okay, we'll do teacups, but we're spinning the hell out of these teacups. I'm like, okay, let's do it. He goes, no, you don't understand. We are going to spin these things to the point where we're going to try to spin it off the track even. I'm like, bring it on. He goes, okay, you hold the gimbal while I spin this. Like, no problem. And we pretty much just walk onto it. And so I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is going to be fun. This is going to be quick. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, let me tell you a little something about Uncle Danny. Given his line of work, he has some serious upper body strength. And he started spinning that thing so blankety blank fast. I mean, I tried to help. I tried to help spin it, and I'm holding on to the gimbal, and I got his face just a little bit on the picture, and you could just see this blur in the video. And I'm going to try to upload the video up onto YouTube because it was so epic. I'm going to try to make a highlight out of some of the streams that we did. And so once it stopped, we just look at each other. We both just kind of put our head back and like, oh my gosh. I think I almost ran over a little kid.
You did.
Getting off. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I was spinning pretty good. And that was the fastest I've ever spun on that ride. And it was so worth it.
It's always my goal is to always get that thing off the track. If I can break one of those teacups, I did a good job.
Yeah. And so after that, we kind of walked around a little bit to kind of figure out what we did. We ran into Scott and Ashley again, kind of by happenstance, because we were streaming. They're like, we're right behind you. We're like, whoop, hey, there they are. And
we were actually streaming on The Little Mermaid. And someone goes, I'm in front of you at line. And Chris goes, oh, hey, look, someone's in front of us in line. We should say hi. Guy turns around and goes, I'm right here. He was literally standing right in front of us. He had no idea we were behind him. We had never met this gentleman ever before. And he was just randomly scrolling on Facebook and was watching our stream.
It was awesome.
And then kind of put two and two together, like, oh, they're literally right here. Where are they? He turned around and realized, we were right behind him.
And the cool part was he was there just as he was an AP holder. He was there for a conference, and just like, I'm just going to spend, part of my day here. I'm like, most excellent. It's really a great way for him to enjoy some time there. So we actually rode Little Mermaid, which I like Little Mermaid. It's kind of cool. It's no secret. It's my favorite traditional hand-drawn cartoon that Disney has. It's always a lot of fun. And, afterward, I think it was after that, we decided We were going to take a little bit of a break because it was, well, not even really a break. We were going to go back over to the Contemporary to pick up an Uber because we were taking an Uber over to Hollywood Studios. It was just the fastest, most reliable way for us to do that. So we took a monorail ride, which wasn't that bad, right over to the Contemporary, went down, and Danny and I will say that the area right by where you enter in the monorail station, they've really done a great job with redoing it for security purposes. Good work. Looks great. So we went downstairs, got an Uber, waited only a couple minutes for that, went over to Hollywood Studios. We waited only a few minutes to meet our cast member friends, and then we also noticed that the Skyliner was not necessarily running right at that moment. So we waited about a half an hour, or actually we waited about 10 or 15 minutes. Then the Skyliner started running again. We got in line. They had to do their safety checks, and then we were able to get on. And Danny streamed it, and we're going to try to stream some highlights from it. And I also got some GoPro footage that I'm still going through. I thought it was epic. I loved it. And I thought it was like the neatest sensation to basically take a flight in the Skyliner. Danny, what was your first initial impression?
Fear, but it was really cool. The braking system when you come in is something that I can't explain. You're just gonna have to see it for yourself to understand the scariness of it. And some of the fears we had of it and some of the things that we thought were going to be good and bad, both kind of fruition. When you're moving, it is really cool, temperature wise. It was 93 degrees outside, and it had to be in maybe the mid 70s while you were moving up there. Very, very comfortable. When you stop moving, it is very, very hot up there. Some points you're really high up in the air and you're like, whoa. And then other times you're barely above the water and you're like, this is kind of cool. The new hotel looks the Riviera looks amazing. I think it's a really cool way, and you don't have to pay to use it. It's free. It's part of Disney transportation. I'm curious to see if that maybe alleviates the monorails a little bit, alleviates the busing system a little bit, and just giving another form of transportation in the future. If that helps with crowds. A very cool way to move around. Won't be my main source of transportation, just because of a couple of flaws that I felt that don't fit me personally. But it was very relaxing. Judging by the outside, you would not think it. You can fit 8 people in there comfortably. They say 10. I do believe 10 would be you could do it. It would not be comfortable though.
If you have 10 rather fit people,
sure. Yeah.
You probably could. 8 would probably be your average. They're not trying to cram people. That was the nice part. And actually, even as they started running it publicly yesterday, I didn't see, it was yesterday or was it Sunday? Either way, it didn't look like they were trying to cram people on them. Like saying, okay, we're going to get 8 people, 8, boom, you're done. No, the Skyliner continues to move as you exit. You kind of have to watch your step. You kind of have to watch your kids. They are designed to have an unfolded stroller as well. If you are in a scooter or a wheelchair, what they do is that the Skyliner car will go in the station. It'll kind of go off to the side, and you'll have your own boarding area where you will be properly boarded, and then it'll re-enter the flow of cars. I will say that it's one of those things where what was it? It was a very nice flight. I will say that Danny and I, as well as our friends, got to go on both cars that were wrapped by characters, and some that were not. Yeah. And I actually preferred the ones that weren't wrapped because you were able to see clearly. And I will say that while it was fun being in a car that had, Chip and Dale on it and stuff like that, I felt like everything was almost a little blurry looking through it. So, but yeah, so I'm not really too thrilled with those. You can go ahead and request a car without a wrap. It just means you're going to have to wait a few minutes. But other than that, I don't really see a problem with it. Just a lot of fun. And there is a little bit of and on most of the cars, they had a voice that was kind of telling you where you're at and like the roads that you were going beside, giving a little bit of history, and the little like announcement chime that happens before almost reminds me a little bit of Star Tours. It was actually quite fun. So I will say this, that I would say many of the fears that I think people were voicing when the Skyliners were first announced, I think the vast majority of them are probably going to be resolved and no longer an issue, in my opinion. It can get a little bit warm up there. For some reason, there's a pause. I never, even when we paused for about 3 or 4 minutes, I never felt uncomfortable. The Skyliner didn't sway in the wind or anything like that. You are suspended, so you are going to feel a little bit of movement, but I never felt like I've had more movement, sitting on an airplane on a tarmac, not moving at times.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it. I think it's going to be a very good addition to the Disney transportation family. I will tell you this: if you think it's going to take you shorter time to take the Skyliner from Hollywood Studios to Epcot, you're probably not going to be correct, because it's about 25 minutes or so to take the boat, and it takes about 22 minutes to take the Skyliner. Kind of your mileage may vary. It's not that much of a difference. So you kind of also, it was not busy for us, and you do have to disembark at the halfway point at like the Skyliner station, which kind of basically acts as, I called it Skyliner Central, kind of like Grand Central Station. Basically what it was. Timothy was asking, what's your best guess of speed? Pretty swift or more like normal amusement park ride? Sky Bucket speed. It was rather swift, and from what I understand, it was supposed to be like somewhere around, give or take, 15 miles an hour, and that's what it felt like. It's supposed to be, it's supposed to be around that speed. It probably may go a little bit slower given wind conditions, but overall, it was pretty brisk. So the thing is, like Brian basically said here, he did. Oops, hold on a second. He did Epcot to Hollywood Studios in 18 minutes 2 nights ago without a wait at either side. The thing is that I don't suspect that you're going to have zero wait a lot of times. They do move quite quickly, so it should not necessarily have a ton of lines here and there, but like anything else, you have to account for that in total time. But it was really a whole lot of fun. So,
all right. With that being said, I say let's keep the rest of Magic Kingdom till later, next week, and let's. You want to wrap up? We good?
Yeah, I think we're good, because we still have to talk about basically the rest of our Hollywood Studios time, including Galaxy's Edge. We have to talk a little bit about our evening activities and festivities over at Magic Kingdom. And of course, I really do want to spend a good amount of time talking about Give Kids the World and the tour that we got there. And I also want to touch on the Indie Disney Meet, which obviously kind of feeds into our Give Kids the World tour as well. So that will be Thursday. That'll be a really good treat for everybody on Thursday. I hope everybody tunes in for that. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and press this button.
Cool.
You heard the show, and we hope you want more. Well, feel free to join us over at our social media platforms. Instagram and our Facebook page can be found at Behind the Ears Podcast. Our webpage is behindtheearspodcast.net, and our email is behindtheearspodcast@gmail.com. And our Twitter handle is @BehindTheEarsPC. And come and join the conversation about all things Disney over at the WDW community page. Don't forget to rate and review the show over at iTunes or Apple Podcasts, as it really helps us get the word out about the show. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the show on iTunes or Apple Podcasts or the Podbean app. Also, you can listen to us on Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and via Alexa and Google Home.
With that being said, everybody, thank you again for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Ears Podcast. Once again, we go live every Tuesday and Thursday at 9:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Facebook and or YouTube. You can catch all our podcasts anywhere a podcast is caught. And don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and I guess YouTube. I guess it is a social media platform. I don't know if I really would count YouTube as a social media platform. I'm not positive on that one. I'll get back to you when I make that final decision. Trisha would kill me if I didn't mention this. Please join the WDW community Facebook page. And with that being said, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget, tuck your kids in tight, wear your seatbelts, and hey, tip that waitress. She works hard. Or waiter. Got to be correct. With that being said, I am Uncle Danny. Until Thursday.
And I'm Mr. Chris. Just one little technical programming note. For those of you who have commented to me about, hey, why is it when I ask for that Amazon device to play the show, it doesn't know anything about you? I just want to let everybody know that basically recently we found out that TuneIn Radio, which basically did a lot of hosting for things for Amazon devices, they actually started pulling a lot of Disney-related content off of their catalog, including us and including some other great stations, podcasts, and music stations alike. So I'm in the process of getting that changed so that if you use an Amazon device in order to listen to us, I'll get that fixed so you can basically ask for it by name. This does not affect anybody who uses a Google-enabled device in order to play our show, because Google Podcast does it a little bit differently. I just thought I'd go ahead and let everybody know that, and we certainly appreciate the feedback. When you let us know that something's not working, that gives us a chance to fix it. With that being said, thanks a lot, everybody, for joining. We love you guys. Thank you for supporting the show. And you know what? It's been an absolute blast talking a little bit about our trip. Can't wait to talk more about it on Thursday. But until we meet again, we hope you have a most excellent and magical day. Take care.